Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Television, radio, and podcast talk show. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 2 p.m. on the Eastern Time Zone, as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. You can find us on television. That's Abundant Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Don't forget the podcast on the Newscasters.com. You can also find us on the radio, WZLA, the biggest country music classic place in South Carolina. Really beyond that, because we used to listen to them before we even moved here. You can find them online as well. You can still find us on all the social media platforms. It's been a long time since I've been kicked off of Facebook. And I don't know, that I kind of wore that as a badge of honor when I was kicked off. So maybe people are coming around. Maybe they're kind of giving us a voice. But I'll tell you where you do get a voice, and that's on the Newscaster studio. I've got Murray Edwards with me right now. Murray, are you still actively looking for more podcasters?
Well, we call them contributors, Donna. We have an application that somebody can fill out. We don't put anybody on a timeline or a schedule. It's basically whatever they feel like they want to do. And the nice thing of what we allow a contributor to do, they can either write an article if they want to submit it. They can do an audio podcast, which is what I do. I'm an old radio guy, so I still do audio. And then if they have a video, they can put a video up for their shows and whatnot. So we give them the flexibility to do what they feel comfortable doing, and we don't put a time frame on them. So if there's a topic an individual wants to talk about, and they do a show a week or every 2 weeks, or whatever you want to call it, they can upload the show and we'll push it out. Now we do something that some other platforms don't do, is we actually push that content out across all social media platforms and groups that I'm part of, that my co-founder Victoria is part of. So when a show goes up, say on Facebook or LinkedIn or X or whatever it might be, it's also going to groups that may have an interest in what you're talking about. Because some people, they take generic stuff. Then you have other groups that really want to know specifically about this or that. So I'm fortunate with some of my connections to where if a show comes out and they're talking about a particular situation that's occurring in a particular geographic region, we can push that data out to them. So where they may only be getting a small hit on a YouTube channel or a Rumble channel, we can multiply that because it's now going out across all the platforms. None of the other platforms do that, not to my knowledge. You put it up on these other places, it's up to you as an individual to put it up on your Facebook page or your X page, and all you're going to do is get hit with the people that you know. Well, we know a whole lot more, and so it's worked real well. And we typically have one or two people that fill out the application once a week. And I go through them, I check out what they're trying to do to make sure that their content is something that's going to be appealing to our audience. Now, we don't censor, we don't cut anything out. I would say 99.5% of the people that are on the platform are or moderate or conservative, from that perspective. We don't get too many questions or applications from somebody that might not necessarily be along that line, but I think they understand we're not that type of platform. We're not, we don't want people yelling and screaming at folks and trying to embarrass them to think a certain way. So it's a wonderful group of individuals. I think we're up to almost 90 now across the globe, because as earlier I was mentioning, we do have a couple of folks overseas now that have joined us. And it's up to that individual as to how often, what they want to do. My shows that I do typically are topical based. So if something comes up that I think somebody needs to hear about, I'll do a show. I may be a week before I do another show, but it just really depends. And then we've got arrangements with several news publications that allow us to republish articles so we can actually expand their footprint. So we formed, I think, a pretty good relationship with a lot of different people, and it seems to be working quite well.
Well, I want to talk to you about that a little bit later, because I've got an idea for an article, and maybe we could put that on there as well, or at least you look at it and see if it's something you like first.
Well, I've got some freelancer friends across the country, and they have no desire to ever do a podcast. They just don't want to do it. But we have I guess you might call a mini blog. We call it the Newscasters Insight, and it's more of an opinion piece. So if you have your thoughts about immigration, or you have your thoughts about whatever the situation might be, we push it out on what we call our Newscasters Insight. Now, if it's news, we have what we call I call it TNS news feed. So we'll take it if it's covering a particular event or something that's going on. So it can go various and sundry ways, and the contributor, if they so desire, can write an article in what we call their studio, and then it's saved there. So you can, as a contributor, you can push it out or send people to your studio, and they can read that article there. So like I said, we're pretty flexible in what we're able to do and what we can allow our contributors to do.
In the last show you were on, we talked a lot about local Alabama politics. Let's get into national politics on this one.
Sure.
Lots of stuff happening in the world, and I still love what President Trump is doing. So I'm part of a group called the BNI. It's a business group that's local right here in Greenwood, South Carolina. Mm-hmm. And I love being part of this group. It's absolutely fantastic. They send business my way a lot, and I send business their way. So we all just kind of work, together, promoting each other. I'm the only advertising person in there. So that's been a lot of fun. They do protect you in what you do. But I said that to say this. There's a guy who's with a finance company. And so he asked me, it was about a week before Christmas, I was at one of the meetings, and he said, just point blank, how's your business doing? And I said, my business is doing great. And I said, thank you for asking. And I said, I'm getting advertisements now, and I'm not having to go out and beat the bushes to do it anymore. Mm-hmm. He said, is it more local or national? And I said, well, kind of both. And I said, I'm getting a lot of local folks here. And I said, I attribute that to you guys. And he said, well, the reason I ask, he said, because he deals with, it doesn't matter. Now, he's a conservative, and I would much rather have a person tending to my money who's a conservative rather than someone who's not a conservative.
Sure.
And so that's my big deal with working with him, and that's why I can promote him. So, but anyway, he said, well, some of my clients are just talking about how even though they're making money with him, he said, they're talking about how bad their business is, just how terrible. And I said, well, can I ask you a question? He said, yeah, sure. And I said, are those like Democrats? He said, yes. He said, that's the point I was trying to raise. He said, I know you're a conservative. Yeah. And I said, overall, what are your conservatives saying? And he said, they're talking like you. They're talking about how good their businesses are. And he said, I said, well, what do you think that mindset is? He said, it's got to be the news. He said, if you did nothing but sit and listen to CNN all day long, it would have to affect your mind, and it would have to affect the way you do things and the way you process your business. And I said, that's what I think. I said, it just seems like if you're more positive outlook, you're thinking about the positive thing Trump's doing. I mean, and he is. I don't know how the guy functions. If somebody beat me up all the time like the news media does, I mean, a person can only take so much. But how he can still get up in the morning and make things process and work is beyond my comprehension. He's not God or anything like that. It's just that he's bent on America being first. And that's just the way it is. And he said, well, that's what I'm experiencing. He said, it's the people who are the conservatives are the ones who are saying, hey, yeah, my business is doing really good. And I said, so even the ones you're marketing their money and they're making a profit, they're still saying that. And he said, yeah, but they're not talking about the money they're making off of their accounts with me. He said, they're talking about their businesses.
Yeah.
It's got to be a mindset, Murray. It has.
It definitely it is. I mean, you hit it. To me, I don't see how people can wake up or be so angry all the time. And they just bring it to the surface constantly. And they chastise the customers. I would not care what my customer was from a political standpoint. it wouldn't matter to me when I had my business. I didn't care. As long as you had a billfold or purse and you were about to pull out a credit card and buy something or pay me cash for whatever I was selling you, I was a happy guy. Mm-hmm. Now it's gotten to the point, and we've seen it before, or seeing it more now, that if I would say a more liberal individual has got a business, they don't want the conservative to come in there. They want that little inner circle that they've got. So I guess they can sit and talk about everything that's going bad. Now, everything is not going bad. They just can't accept the fact that the CPI was down today. They were expecting, I think, 2.7, and it was at 2.6. So it's come down. Mm-hmm. Price of gas has come down. I was telling you earlier, I paid $2.27 the other day for gas. My new empty is now my quarter of a tank compared to the half tank. Mm-hmm. So they yell and scream about tariffs. Tariffs work, but you have to understand and it's too complicated to get into it in 10 to 15 minutes. Tariffs do work, but you have to understand how to play in the wonderful world of tariffs. And the folks who have figured it out are making more money than they know what to do with, if they've got a successful business. Now, if you don't have a successful business, sometimes you got to figure out, is it the management of that or of your company that's not working, and then figure out why it's not working. But it's amazing. I saw the other day where all the baristas for Starbucks went on strike. Yeah. For $30 an hour or something like that. That's a lot of money to brew coffee. And you sit there, and that was the wildest group of individuals I've ever seen. So they've got a mindset that you almost automatically know what it is, and they don't want to serve you. They just don't want to serve folks. And hopefully people will wake up and realize that what is occurring across the country is actually working. It's taking some time. But, I think people have forgotten, Donna, that the inflation rate was up over 9%. And it's way down now. And it does take time for that shift financially and all that cost to start shifting. When the price of gas comes down, it costs less now to transport stuff. And when it costs less to transport stuff, then whatever you're having brought to you, the cost of it will come down. But it takes time. I think people think it happens just because somebody comes in the office, boom, everything's going to change overnight. It doesn't work that way. And it just, hopefully people will have the patience to understand that things are working, maybe not as fast as everybody wants them to work, but it is happening. And I think in 2026, when they call the big, beautiful bill, everything goes into play in this one big, beautiful bill, I think people are going to be shocked at rules and regulations that people used to have to abide by. They're gone. No taxes on this, no taxes on that, no taxes on Social Security. It's going to be, my hopes, let's put it this way. My hopes are that within the first quarter or midway through the second quarter, folks are really going to start seeing a stronger uptick across all avenues, because it does affect certain markets in certain ways. And not all markets, unfortunately, share what's going on all at one time. So when the things change, the regulations change, and business owners can take advantage of those changes, is when you'll really start to see, I think, an economy that is just going to go off the deep end. From a positive standpoint, maybe that's the wrong choice of words. It's going to erupt. Erupt instead of off the deep end. So it's going to, I think, across the board, it's going to be good for a lot of different people. Now, if you pick the wrong industry, that's on you. Or if you've got the wrong kind of personality, or you got the wrong type of people working for you, guess what?
That's your problem.
That's your fault. That's your problem. Mm-hmm. And if you've allowed politics to come into the business operations, you got a problem. We've seen it. You know,
I'll tell you, if I'm with Starbucks, or let's just say I start my own Donna's Coffee. Okay, so I have my coffee shop, and I'm labeling people, and I'm like, no, that person, they're a lib. I'm not going to let them in.
Yeah.
I've cut back half my business. That is a dumb business move. That is one of the dumbest business moves you could ever have. You should accept everybody into your business. So your business is going down. Maybe it's because you don't want conservatives in your business. Conservatives drink coffee too.
Yes, they do. And they typically have more money than some liberals. But, I mean, using Starbucks as a prime example, I don't know about what's going on up in your neck of the woods, but these little drive-through coffee shops.
Oh, they're
popping up everywhere. There's a mall, a shopping center that's got built. There's one in one shopping center in less than not even a half a mile. All you got to do, instead of going left, you go right. You go into that one, and that's a different franchise. So it's just amazing how some industries have just amazingly found that little niche. And I honestly didn't realize people like fancy coffees that much, but it's stunning. $5, $6 for a cup of coffee, you know, and I'm going, well, I can't handle Starbucks. Starbucks is too strong for me. So I've never really been a fan of Starbucks, not because I don't like them. I just don't like that, you know, if I get something from Starbucks, which it's been a long time, it's been one of those cappuccinos or iced cappuccinos or something like that.
Airport or something like that.
Yeah, I can't handle it. And of course, now you can get them at all the fast food. You can get them at Mickey D's. You can get them at this. You can get them at that. So there's no need for loyalty for one particular chain anymore. So you've got to be able to react to it.
Well, you got to adjust to the market, and some people don't do that. Like think about this. Okay, think of that. We're in the 1800s, and you're in New York City. Okay, they had horses back then. Okay, so they had horses on buggies. You know, that was kind of like their own little taxi back then. Well, you know what horses do whenever they get they poop on the road. Okay, so you had to have someone who was a pooper picker-upper. I don't know what they call them back. You had to have that person. So think about this. Think about when automobiles started taking over in New York. There had to be a group of people who were upset about that because their cousin on their mother's side was losing their job as the pooper picker-upper for horses. So you've got to be able to adjust to things. You know, I mean, we had to adjust when Biden was president. And he was our president. I think he cheated. But anyway, he was our president. We had to accept it. Well, I wasn't going to stop running my business because Biden was president. And I keep going back to my granddads. Both of them had successful businesses. One of my granddads actually paid off a farm in 2 years in the Depression. His parents did not want him to buy that farm. Son, you can live with us because we're in a depression right now. You'll wind up losing everything you got. Well, thank God he didn't listen to them. He went on ahead and purchased. You know why? He didn't care that it was a depression. He set a goal. That meant he had to work 2 jobs and the farm at the same time. But he did set a goal and he made it work. And that was during the Depression. So my son and my daughter-in-law, when they got married, that was during the Obama years. So he actually had a mobile home that he used to rent out to college students. So while he was going to college, they actually paid for the mobile home. So now the wonderful family, by the way, our son married into a wonderful family. They're much better people than we are. But anyway, they were upset because their daughter was going to be living in a mobile home for a couple of years. They didn't like that. Now they call my son the financial genius of the family because this is what he did. They lived in that mobile home. Now they got the guys out. She didn't want to live with them. So they got the college dudes out. And so they started saving all of their money. They put down a big payment on a townhouse close to Raleigh, North Carolina. They had a goal, same goal as before their 10th wedding anniversary. They wanted to have that townhouse paid off. They did it during the Obama years. When everybody else, it's a mindset. If you think you're failing, then you're going to fail. That's just the way it's going to be. If you expect you're going to fail because you watch CNN all the time, you're going to fail. But now if you'll watch the Newscaster studio, listen to the Newscaster studio, you're going to get motivated. You are not going to fail. You're going to be motivated because you're going to hear the truth about stuff, not some fabricated something from some left-wing liberal something. You're going to hear the truth. So that's what it's a mindset. My business is doing great, Murray, and it was actually doing great during, when Biden was president too.
Yeah.
But it was
you hit it. You people like to blame other folks
when they
for
fail.
their failures, and everybody right now, I believe, is in we want to point our finger at one particular individual, and we know who that individual is. But if they really took a step back and understood the processes and procedures of what is going on right now, they wouldn't be so angry, I don't think. For the ones who have stepped back and say, okay, I'm going to have a little discomfort for a small amount of time, but I see the horizon, and the horizon looks pretty cotton picking good, and I'm willing to take the gamble or feel a little bit of pain for a short amount of time because I see what's on the horizon. If you listen, I will tell you, the gentleman that he's got running the Treasury, Bassett, he is amazing, and he's not a fluent speaker, but pay close attention to what that man says because he is absolutely brilliant with the things that are being done right now. And it's not only is they working on the issues with the financial issues, he's going to get to the bottom of all this fraud because Treasury keeps track of all that stuff. So they're going to be able to, I believe, find all this fraud that's been going on in all these states, because he made a comment this morning, 10% of the budget is fraud. Think about that. 10% of the money that we spend on a national basis from the federal government is fraud. That's a lot of cotton picking money.
I think it's more than that.
And we saw what transpired, and that's why. And I got somebody irritated at me the other day because I made this statement. This is why the Democrats are so upset. They had 4 years to do whatever they wanted to do. They could flood the borders. They could flood the cities. They could flood the towns. They could get hold of funds. NGOs could get money. People could apply for PPP loans. They didn't have businesses, but they got the loans. You got people on Medicaid that didn't deserve to be on Medicaid. All of that was fraud, and they were not held accountable for 4 years. And the reason they're so upset now is there is an administration that's coming in and said, whoa, wait a minute, $9 billion in one state for fraud? What's it going to be like when they get to California or Washington? They just saw something in Maine where there was $10 million, it wasn't a lot, $10 million in Medicaid fraud that they think the governor was involved in. So how much of this was transpiring, and now the window it's more than a crack now. It's about halfway between halfway and halfway.
Yeah, it's going to be more than 10% when they get through it.
It's just, you sit there and go, wow, I'm pumping my taxes into a government that has not been accountable for anything that they've done. I made the comment on one of your earlier shows, 455 state agencies. 455, it's not state agencies, excuse me, federal agencies. That's unbelievable. He's reduced the federal workforce by 235,000 people. Those folks are now out into the private sector.
Yeah, but when the big awakening is going to be is when people start getting their tax refunds.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and it's actually going to benefit us as U.S. citizens and not the illegals. Yeah. And I don't know how people can look at me and say, no, Donna, Jesus loves everybody. Okay, you better let America be first. We want people to come in. My daughter-in-law's from Russia. She has added so much into our family. We love her, but she's an American citizen. Okay, and she's the biggest Trump supporter I know of. I don't know of anybody that's more than she is. She loves him. And you know why? Because he puts America first. The reason she's not living in Russia, she didn't like the dictatorship. She loves being free. You know, it's freeing for her. She loves it. You know what? We got a little bit less than a minute left in this segment. How can folks get in contact with you, Murray, if they'd like to be on your show?
Oh, I'm if you like to, you can email me. I'm Murray@newscasters.com. If you'd like to just talk, or you want to talk about a potential, hey, I may want to do something, just feel free to. I myself are out on almost all the social media platforms. So I'm on Facebook, I'm on X, I'm on Getter, I'm on Truth Social, on Gab. So feel free to, connect with me on all those particular platforms. And, look me up on Facebook. Just look for Murray Edwards. You'll see my shining face there. And if you'd like to follow me, now I'll be honest with you folks, I can be brutal sometimes. I'm not ugly and I'm not nasty, but I am factual. I will tell you like it is. Somebody pinged me yesterday and said, hey, you came up on my news feed. And I took a look at your feed and going, you've been telling folks the way it's supposed to be. That's just the way I am. So like I said, you're not going to get a bunch of malarkey. I don't call people names and stuff like that. I just sort of lay it out there. If you want to do that, if you want to hear about what's actually going on, feel free to follow me on any of those platforms out there.
Absolutely. If you want to hear the truth, that's the way you do it. And that's what I want. I want the truth, even if it hurts me. Look, and it does sometimes, but I'm okay with that. I can grow and learn. Thank you guys so much for watching. Continue sending email. I love them. You can ask Phil. I mean, I am so thrilled when I get email from you. Donna'sEdge.com, Donna@Donna'sEdge.com.
Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. Donna's Designs offers a line of handmade memorial, wedding, and keepsake jewelry that launched back in 1970. I'm a self-trained jewelry designer, and I will work closely with you to create unique designs you can love and treasure for years to come. Whether that be flowers that were used in a funeral arrangement or stones you found on the beach at a memorable trip, call me at 256-659-4319, and let's think of the possibilities.